Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. This is Game Week 2 Premier League predictions, but before we get started, I wanted to ask you a favor. If you could just drop this video a like, comment, interact, all of that really helps people to find my channel. And also, I just love seeing what you guys have to say. So thank you so much, and let's get into this video. Last week, I actually smashed it with the predictions. I got 21 points according to my game, and the chat got 16 points, which means that you guys have to comment more because you have way more chances of actually getting points than I do. Because if anybody gets it right, then I'm awarding you the points. So make sure that you comment down your predictions for the Premier League matches. Starting off with Brighton versus Man United. Brighton had a massive 3-0 win versus Everton last weekend, and the team looked really good. They looked very organized and very fluid. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Man United saved it until the last minute, as they typically do, to score the winner versus Fulham last weekend. We could potentially see Xerxes or De Ligt start in this game as well. Out of the past 6 meetings between these two teams, United have only won 2 and Brighton have won 4. Now, if I'm looking at the form of both of these teams in the opening weekend, I feel like Brighton looks stronger. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Brighton win. Tottenham versus Everton. Last weekend, Spurs failed to take advantage of early dominance that they had versus Leicester City and had to settle for a 1-1 draw. So they're going to be looking for their first win of the season. Solanke has been ruled out of the fixture as he's picked up an ankle injury, and Postecoglou has also ruled out Rodrigo Bentancur as he had a nasty head collision, so he's also going to be out. Pedro Porro, who was an injury doubt, is supposedly fine, and Postecoglou said that he's all set and ready to go, so shouldn't be a worry for him to play. As I mentioned before, Everton were obliterated by Brighton in the opening game of their season, and something that is so crazy is that they are still without an away win in all of 2024. I can't see this going any way other than a Spurs win, so I'm going for 2-0. Crystal Palace versus West Ham. So in opening weekend, both teams got narrowly defeated, and they're both going to be looking to get their first win and start kicking off their season, and I do think that this game is going to be really tightly contested. After their defeat versus Brentford, Oliver Glasner admitted that there's still work for Crystal Palace to do in order to get to their form at the end of last season. Watch out for Eze because he had more shots in the opening game week fixture than any other player in the Premier League. West Ham conceded a late goal versus Aston Villa, even though they had been dominant for large parts of that game. Julian Lopetegui mentioned that they still have to work on improving the bad areas of their game in order to be able to fight and be more competitive in the league. Despite losing to Aston Villa, West Ham actually had the second most highest expected goals out of any team in the Premier League last week, only behind Liverpool, which I thought was really interesting. Palace have won their previous 2 home games versus West Ham, but before that, they actually really struggled to win against them. So I think this is going to be really tight, like I said, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 Palace win. Southampton versus Nottingham Forest. It's the first home game for Southampton since they've been promoted, so they're going to be looking to get a win. The atmosphere, I think, is going to be really good. Keep an eye out for Ben Burton Diaz, who's one of their new signings, and he's a goal scorer. Forest had a solid 1-1 draw versus Bournemouth last week. They also have a pretty good record against newly promoted teams in the Premier League as well. Chris Wood got his goal tally started last weekend, and he's going to hope to continue his goal scoring form into this weekend. He really looks to be in great form, so he's another one to keep your eye out on. Forest have 6 away games without defeat versus Southampton, and they're going to be looking to continue that form. I think this one is also going to be pretty close, but I'm going for a 1-0 or 0-1 Nottingham Forest win. Fulham versus Leicester City. Fulham fell to a late defeat versus Manchester United in game week 1. They registered 10 shots, but only 2 of those shots were on target. Marco Silva said that some of their decisions were made too quickly on the pitch, and they need to try to find the balance and keep possession so that they can make good decisions during the game. Watch out for Andres Pereira, who created the most chances and had the most passes into the final third than any other Fulham player last weekend. Leicester, on the other hand, had Jamie Vardy still the headlines. I love seeing Jamie Vardy score. It's just like very nostalgic for me after he got a goal to secure Leicester City a point versus Spurs. Jamie Vardy is coming to the end of his Leicester City career. He's older than the next oldest player by 5 years, but Steve Cooper still said that he's crucial to the side. I think it's going to be another tight game, but I'm edging this one to Fulham. I'm going to go 2-1 to Fulham. Man City versus Ipswich Town. So Man City obviously beat Chelsea last weekend. They didn't look to get out of second gear. They were missing a ton of their first team players as well, which I think just speaks to the quality that Man City have. Like, even their B team is just like amazing. So I would expect no different from Man City. I cannot see a world in which Man City lose this game. Ipswich have a bit of a difficult start to the Premier League, having faced Liverpool in their first game and now Man City in their second game, and I think that City are just going to score rampant. I don't see how Ipswich are going to stop them from creating chances, so I'm going for a big win. I'm going for 4-0 City. Next up, we have Aston Villa versus Arsenal, and this might be the game that I'm most excited for out of the weekend. You know, you have the Chelsea game, but this one's going to be really good because it's two very intense competitive sides, and both of them got top 4 last season. So Aston Villa versus Arsenal, like who's going to come out on top? It's going to be really interesting, especially since this is happening so early in the season and there's still mistakes that could be made and players getting fit and trying to figure out how to play. West Ham created 4 big chances against Aston Villa last weekend, so they definitely weren't as solid defensively as they're known for being. I could see the likes of Nottm potentially starting in order to add some speed and just like push a bit more, press a bit more as well. And then for Arsenal, Saka and Kai Havertz absolutely shined last weekend. They got a goal apiece. I'm so upset because I almost have both of them in my fantasy team. That's for another day. I really don't know how this one is going to go. Like, I could see it being super high scoring. I could see Arsenal nicking it. I do think that Arsenal win. They did look better to me than Aston Villa did in opening weekend. So I'm gonna go for a 1-3 Arsenal win, but anything can happen. Bournemouth versus Newcastle. Bournemouth drew to Nottingham Forest last weekend and they managed to get 4 shots on target. From November 2023 onwards, fun fact, they've only suffered 3 losses at home, 2 of which came against Man City and Liverpool. So we can expect them to perform well and really put up a strong performance in this game. On the other hand, Newcastle has a lot of news around it. So Kieran Trippier is linked with a move away from the club. Eddie Howe came out and said that it was like surprising for him to hear these things. He wasn't included in the squad last week, but that's because he only trained for 2 weeks apparently because of his time spent in the Euros, so he just wasn't ready to be included into the squad just yet. Last weekend, Newcastle went down to 10 men after Fabian Schär's red card, and Sven Botman and Jamal Lascelles are both out injured until 2025. So it could be time for Lloyd Kelly to make his full Premier League debut. So this one is really hard. I don't know which way it's going to go because that Bournemouth stat is really sticking in my head, but I just feel like Newcastle win this game. So I went for 0-2 Newcastle win, but maybe it's a little bit closer than that actually. Wolves versus Chelsea. This is the one that a lot of you watching would be excited about. So obviously Chelsea lost in their opening game of the season versus Man City. They had a okay game midweek, winning 2-0 with goals from Nkunku and Madueke. And I think Madueke even mouthed something like, "You sure you want to sell me?" or something along those lines, because his name has been linked with the move away and he's actually been scoring like a decent amount of goals. So I definitely want to see him featured at some point because he's been looking really good. Joao Felix is also back with Chelsea. Obviously he just joined this week, so I'm not sure if he's going to be included in the matchday squad, but I'm like really interested to see like where he actually fits in the squad and what he does, because I'm not so certain about that. Wolves obviously lost their opening fixture versus Arsenal. They're going to be looking to get a win back. I think this is going to be a tight game. Like, I'm feeling very nervous for this game, especially because Chelsea might have a little bit of fatigue having played on Thursday. I'm going for a 1-2 Chelsea win, but I'm not feeling like super confident about it right now. And last but not least, Liverpool versus Brentford. Liverpool showed that they are still this crazy powerhouse. They just looked amazing last weekend. I was really impressed with what I saw, and Mo Salah got off to a rocking start, goal and an assist, and he's going to be looking to continue that goal scoring form versus Brentford. Brentford got quite lucky last weekend. Maybe not lucky, they did work for it, squeaking out a win versus Crystal Palace. I did feel that it was a very tight game. I was surprised to see that they won because I did feel that it was very tight and maybe it would end in a draw. But ultimately at this game, I can't see it going any other way than Liverpool winning, especially playing at home at Anfield. So I'm going for a 3-1 Liverpool win. So those are my predictions. Let me know your predictions down in the comments below. I want to know. Sorry that this video is so late. It has been a manic week, but I really wanted to make sure to still get a video out, even though I've had like so much work to do, even if it's a little bit later. So I hope that you enjoyed it. If you like it, make sure to drop it a like, comment, so that other people can find my channel. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, whatever time you're watching this, and until next time, I'm out. Bye!